Hey, it's Dave. Today I'm showing my 2009 Kawasaki's Concours 14. I've owned 109 motorcycles total, and I have 10 right now, though I might be getting an electric Harley tomorrow, which is going to be fun to experiment with. So this is all-around excellent sport touring bike. In fact, probably of the best. I think it's updated now. This is 2009, but still you could ride this all around the country. There's no issues with that. This doesn't have the ABS, which the newer ones do, which is actually pretty good for, going in areas you're not familiar with. It also has bags that match the body. I just don't have them on right now because when I ride it, it's just not necessary. It's a little bulky. Looks really good. It has those mirrors in the front that are integrated into the body, and the windshield can go up and down. I keep it down, but it actually is functional if you put it up. It's got a little storage compartment here. The seat holds a couple things underneath. I never really use it because it's a big seat to take off and on. It's got adjustable shock right here. This is for the mounting point for the bags. And what I really like is this shaft. No maintenance, no chain. You can get it wet. It just keeps it pretty much sealed all the time. And I love how they put the blinkers in the front. It's kind of like the Ninja ZX6R. I think that should be the standard for all the bikes. Although I guess if it falls over, it could break them. So maybe that's why a lot of bikes don't do that. And it's got a center stand too, which is good if you go in places where you have to have dirt on the ground or something that's unstable. So for specs, the only down thing, a couple, I like smaller, lighter bikes. So this one, being a sport touring and having a 1400cc engine, it's 672 pounds wet. Also, the shaft probably adds weight compared to a chain. Now, again, if you're riding fast around the country, not a big deal. But for my drives in DC to lunch and back, it's overkill. I mean, one, the engine is huge, and it's I can get a smaller bike to go just as fast and the same amount of time. And B, when you have to move a bike around and turning around and stuff, shorter wheelbase and lighter is better. But again, this is not designed. I only got this to experiment with. I really never intended to keep it. So of my 10 bikes, this is one of the 5 that I'll sell. It's just one of those. I wanted to check it off my list of bikes to own. So I've seen 2 figures. One says the earlier versions went to 182 miles an hour, which was the same as the ZX14. And then I saw the 2011's 152 miles an hour. I guess it's speed restricted. But either way, this thing goes 0 to 60 in 2.9 seconds, which is on par with my CBR 600RR. And I mean, it is scary fast, and it doesn't stop pulling up to 100. I mean, it's geared tall, so once you're in the tall gear, 5th, it's an overdrive. It gets great gas miles. I think it's 44 miles a gallon. But if you want to get power, you can just have it at that 5th gear, or actually 6th gear. But if you want to downshift, you'll get the higher RPMs, which will help you accelerate faster. Either way, this is it's unlike any bike I've owned, except maybe I've actually had a ZX14, so that was a 2006. But that was the fastest bike I've ever owned, and that was a bike I got the fastest speed on in my life. So it has the ZX14 engine. It's detuned a little bit, I believe, but it's very similar in terms of when you're going at the first gear. I think it goes up to 100 miles an hour, and when you hit the throttle, it's just constant acceleration. It's almost linear, where the sport bike, the CBR 600, is more slow, and then it gets really fast at the high end. So this is actually better for a city environment where you want low end torque. But for the chassis and handling, it handles great for its size. It's again it's hard to compare this because it's a different function than the sport bikes I have over here, like the ZZR 600 and the Honda CBR 650F. But I mean, overall for its size, it's balanced. I've driven a Harley that's in the 600 range, and that was far harder to pilot. For the brakes, it has the dual, I think it's 310 millimeter rotors, and Nissan calipers, and then one in the rear. I find it, even for its size, it actually stops pretty good, but it doesn't have sport bike stopping power, which has to be expected for its weight. But I definitely feel safe on it. It's not it feels like it's too heavy to stop in a short amount of time. So for comfort, you could ride this all day long. I've driven bikes to one to Florida, and a couple 8-hour drives in Arizona when I lived out there. Same with Texas, and this would just easily ride it all day long. This actually has handlebar risers, which I don't think it really needs. That was the other person who sold it to me put it on, but this seat's like super comfortable. You could almost fall asleep in it. It's just like it's got good suspension, so it takes the bumps well, plus the weight adds to it. If I was doing an iron butt rally, it's that competition, or it's the challenge where you ride around the country. I think it's like 10,000 miles in 10 days. I think these were popular. The FJR 1300 Yamaha is a popular one, and obviously the Harleys. But yeah, this is like perfectly set up for it. And as long as it doesn't get break, which I can't see it. It doesn't seem like, I've looked online, it doesn't seem like it has any issues which would cause it to break. So this is perfect for like long touring. And from what I've read online, it has comfortable seat for the passenger too, which is important because a lot of people who buy these are taking trips with their significant other. The other one too is called the Pan American Trail, which goes from like the top of Alaska, Purdue Bay, and then goes all the way down to the tip of South America. So that'd be like one of those like bucket list items. I've done a car from all that top to the border of Mexico, but then I stopped because I'm not really a little cautious with going into Mexico, you know, the last couple of years with, you know, the administration and everything. But this is the type of bike that could do it. Although that Dalton Highway in Alaska, I wouldn't want to take any bike on that unless it had like a super like large shocks and you know, dirt bike tires, because those potholes are the size of basketballs. So one of the cool things is called the Pass, which is Kawasaki Intelligent Proximity Activation Start System. So there's no key. So what it is like you have this like key fob. Let me pull it out here. That you just hold it in your pocket or something, and that's what a lot of newer bikes are going to, just like cars. And it basically will respond with the front of it and allow it to recognize that, you know, you're there. I think it actually holds information too, which you can like use at the dealer. This one, I don't know why, but like it has an issue with the tire pressure sensor. But I mean, that's actually a nice feature to have. So if I wish other my bikes, it's not on right now. It's usually when I start driving, it will turn on. And the original owner was like, you know, honest and told me about it, which a lot of sellers are not like that. But it's really it's a simple dash. Now the newer ones have a traction control system and ABS. This one is the 2009. It's pretty basic. So this is actually a pretty cool feature though. These like lights, you can actually adjust the lights. So if you put a heavy load on the back or a passenger, obviously the bike's gonna go down in the rear. You can adjust your shocks a little bit, but this will allow you to make the lights level. And it has got some stuff like the trip, you know, average speed and miles per gallon. And then here's the electronic windshield. I think that's pretty cool. I had an electronic scooter, or a scooter. I think it was a BMW 650 that had that. Except for that, this is a bare bones bike. And I think the newer sport touring bikes, like this one and the BMWs, like they have a lot more information, possibly cruise control, heated grips, and other amenities that like will allow you to tour like all around the country without being uncomfortable. So when this was designed, it was 2009. So the competitors was the BMW K1300 GT, which just was newly redesigned. This one was redesigned in 2006. It replaced the 1000cc Concours. Then you had the Honda ST 1300, which was an old design. It was very heavy, but since it had a shorter wheelbase, it was pretty comfortable, and some police departments used it. And then you had the Yamaha FJR 1300, which is still a very popular bike to, you know, that's like the direct competition. I don't think Suzuki had any bikes back then, or even now, that compares to it. I think a Hayabusa sort of, but you'd have to put make the handlebars taller and, you know, put saddlebags and stuff. But I think the Hayabusa is more of a sport, like kind of a fast go bike instead of more of a, you know, touring bike. So this one and the Yamaha will probably be like the closer competitors because of price. The Honda had the the VFR 1200, which was I think it was like the predecessor to the VFR 800 Interceptor, and that's definitely more like sporty than actual touring, but it's a really great design. I've never owned one. I'll probably pick one up eventually, but it's kind of like this shaft drive 1200, pretty fast. So yeah, this one and the Kawasaki would be like, in terms of like the money, that I think the Honda, based on the old design at the time, probably wasn't that popular. And when they came to engine, this one was bigger than the Yamaha, so it allowed it to you go faster, and you know, it's better for acceleration and stuff. This would be on line with the BMW in terms of the horsepower and stuff, and then you go the Yamaha, and then the Honda had the smallest engine. So for modifications, like I mentioned, it has these handlebar risers right here that allow it to go up about an inch or so. Don't really think it's necessary. I never tried a stock one, but I don't think it doesn't do much for someone who's like fairly doesn't have a bad back or anything. And then the original owner put like these little foam here. I guess he said the heat was coming out and it bothered his legs. I don't recommend doing that. I guess I could take it out, but generally if they design something to emit heat and you put foam there, what's it going to do? It's going to make the heat go elsewhere, which it probably just ends up coming out here. But I don't like messing around with engineered design, because there's a reason for everything on these bikes, and they go through extensive testing. So I don't think in the winter it matters, but if you go in like really hot weather, maybe like over time it could create a heat generation problem. All right, so let's hear what it sounds like. But this is a stock exhaust, and let me just put the... It's actually a really good sound for its stock exhaust. It's not too loud, not too quiet. So personally, I wouldn't touch it, but a lot of people who get these put on aftermarket. All right, just riding it down the neighborhood. Not a big fan of trying to put in a big clutch with a camera on my left hand, but I mean, you can tell it's so comfortable. I mean, compared to any of the other bikes I owned, except the maxi scooters. I really like those too. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to do it with one hand. It'll probably throw me off. I mean, it just has that much power. Very quiet ride too. And that's an overview on the Concours 14. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you have any questions in the comment section. It is for sale, and I'll put the information below. All right, let's stay tuned. I'll get some more motorcycle videos next week.